Hi there, parents of geometry students or applied geometry students. This is Charlie Whitten. I will be your son or daughter's applied geometry teacher or geometry teacher for the 2020-2021 school year. A little bit about myself. I am a 1990 graduate of VWHS High School, so a few years ago, which means I've been teaching math here at VWHS High School for 25 years. This is year number 26 for me. So, and most of those years I have taught geometry or applied geometry. So I have a lot of experience doing this, and I enjoy it. Just want to share a few things with you regarding my classroom. I'm going to share my screen and show you a list of my expectations of the students here. You should hopefully be seeing Mr. Whitten Geometry at the top of this. And again, this goes for geometry and applied geometry students. I'm just going to scroll through most of this. Hopefully this is something you guys have already seen, as I gave this to the students on day 1 of class. Just a couple of highlights, miscellaneous items under cheating. I know during distance learning last year, that was kind of one of the biggest things that I was frustrated about, was knowing how many students just simply took somebody else's work and turned it in as their own. So if we end up having to do that this year, if you guys can help out on that, we'd appreciate it. Other items, I've told kids that if they need help, get down to my room during pause, or my conference period is 7th period of the day. Please, please, please encourage your kids to come get help if they need it in geometry. Here's the materials they need for this classroom. I prefer a 3-ring binder, but just any notebook is good for here. Calculator, I want them to have a calculator not on their cell phone. They will not be allowed to use their cell phone during tests and quizzes. So any scientific calculator will do. Obviously the graphing calculators are great, but they certainly don't need them for geometry. Scientific calculator, what they bought in middle school, the red TI-30s, those are perfect. Those will be fine. And then we will give them a compass and protractor. You had I think $2.50 student fee for geometry. That's what got bought with that $2.50, a compass and a protractor. So when the time comes, we will share those or give each student one of those. As I continue on here, there are the school-wide learning outcomes at VWHS High School and the percentages each one of those accounts for in geometry. I'll just note that agency is higher than the rest of these other school-wide learning outcomes, simply because my agency grade is all of my homework grades. I believe it's very important for students to practice their problems or to do the homework. So that agency grade is higher than the rest, simply because we're going to do a lot of homework problems in here. You guys can see my grading scale and personal electronic device or computers. Basically, I've told the kids cell phones, don't need to see them in the classroom. If computers, you should be doing work on school. If I see you playing games or texting, Snapchat, any of that kind of stuff, that'll be a loss of some privileges. So, the final thing I do in my classroom, and this goes into our agency grade as well, is called employability points. What I do is I give students 25 points at the beginning of each 9 weeks. And then these are all things kind of some employers have shared with our high school staff about, here's what we want out of kids graduating high school and entering the workforce. We want them to be on time for work. So we want to be prepared for work, be on task during the time they're supposed to be working, and certainly be able to get along with people during work. So made it, what I call an employability points that just kind of fits similar to that in my classroom, where I'll take a point off. If they're late for class, I'll take a point off of this. So now they got 24 out of 25. If they forget a textbook and they need to go out in the hall to get a textbook, then I take a point off, and so forth. So hopefully throughout the 9 weeks, they're not going to burn too many of those points off. And also, hopefully, you guys have all seen this set of rules, because you should have signed it and sent it back by now. So that's my classroom rules. One other thing I'd like to share before I sign off here. Here is the math, kind of the order that we recommend high school math students take courses at VWHS High School. Again, I'm talking to both applied and regular geometry students. If your son or daughter is a regular geometry student this year, pretty much they're going to go to Algebra 2 next year, hopefully pre-calculus the following year, and then AP Calculus or some other fairly challenging math their senior year. If they're in applied geometry right now, the typical progression there is applied geometry is going to go to integrated math next year, and then after integrated, and applied Algebra 2 and Algebra 2, and then if they have another year left, maybe a pre-calc or senior analysis statistics. Okay? If your son or daughter wants to kind of get up to pre-calc before then, or wants to go to Algebra 2 next year, maybe I should say it that way. If your son or daughter thinks they want to go to Algebra 2, or if you think your son or daughter wants to go to Algebra 2, I would strongly recommend looking to switch your son or daughter from applied into geometry, or vice versa. If your son or daughter isn't a very strong math student, maybe switch them out of geometry into applied geometry. Honestly, there's not a whole lot of difference in these two courses right now. We cover all the state geometry standards anyways. It's just a matter of after geometry, we're gonna push them to go to Algebra 2, whereas after applied geometry, we're gonna push them to go to integrated math. So again, if you think about the courses your son or daughter wants to take next year, if Algebra 2 is where they want to go, either Algebra 2 or applied Algebra 2, again, I would recommend switching them to geometry right now, or again, vice versa. If your son or daughter doesn't want much math, they can flip back the other way. So hopefully this helps. By all means, if you have any questions, our emails should be readily available on the website. I welcome emails from you guys, and if you need to check in on your son or daughter, please do so. I look forward to having a good year. Hopefully we can be in school for 36 weeks of the year, but no guarantee on that. But if we aren't, we'll certainly do the best we can. So again, appreciate you listening to this, and have a good night. Thank you.